I am learning to love Commander. As Bricky, one of my personal YouTube role models, said of Warhammer, it's basically nerd golf. A reason to come together and just chill with your friends for an afternoon. But my love is not coming from a forgiveness of Commander's faults. Players should never have been given 40 life. 100 card decks, sure, whatever. Introducing an inherent amount of increased randomness in a casual game makes a lot of sense. But players having 40 life fundamentally makes so many of my favorite cards just unusable. And today's subject, Opera Love Song, is absolutely a perfect example. 2 mana for 4 damage to face should be an absolutely huge deal. And in Standard, it absolutely is. Navigating my entire deck and board state into a situation where I can get the maximal amount of mana-efficient damage from an Opera Love Song is absolutely worth it in a situation where my opponent's starting life total is only 20. Opera Love Song is a rare and powerful kind of burn card, up there with pillars of the archetype like Boros Charm and Flame Rift. And if you're down in my comments right now admonishing me for saying burn instead of aggro, at least like and subscribe while you're there. Serra Ascendant should not be an unconditional turn 1 6/6 lifelinker. And Bolt Wave should not be a literal joke card. It has things bad enough as it is in 60 card formats. Now I will say, I don't know that 20 life is the be-all end-all absolutely perfect starting life total that Magic should always have had. Many of the aspects of Magic, as Richard Garfield intended, turned out to be huge mistakes. Ante, 40 card decks with no duplicate limit, basics in the rare slot, but 20 life has turned out to be a really good amount for Magic games to be just the right length, even as compared to contemporary card games put out in the years since. The fact that a Soul Sister, or a Hinterland Sanctifier as we now know them, can reliably trigger for exactly 1 life, and there's really no need to mess with the power level of the trigger, is a rare and exciting thing. At your commander table, this may just be a source of triggers, and gaining 3 or 4 life off of it may never be meaningful. But in a matched one-on-one format where every number counts, these cards are incredible. And that's not even getting to the second half of Opera Love Song. It's also card advantage. Impulsing is an incredibly tricky Magic mechanic, not least because it didn't exist for most of Magic, but also because it has so many more conditions than draw a card. But every now and again you get a card like Opera Love Song that you can just cast at the end of your opponent's turn and reliably play both of the cards that it sees, and you have my favorite kind of red effect. 2 mana, draw 2, but with gambling. The fact that that uncertainty just barely dips the effects to below playability is what makes Questing Druid so great. It has an adventure that's so close to being a card that we would just absolutely play irrespective of the rest of the card, and then on top of that, it gives you a creature you're totally happy to play. Not every impulse effect has to be Escape to the Wilds, a red-green dig through time. I will happily pay 2 mana at instant speed to risk flipping 2 mountains off the top of my deck for the potential upside of ripping more burn than my opponent can possibly deal with. And just to nerd out as a designer for a moment, how many card draw effects self-limit their ability to chain themselves together the way that Opera Love Song does by saying that yes, you can get an Opera Love Song off an Opera Love Song and go an additional +1, but those new cards don't last until your next turn, they go away now. I love the idea that there's a discussion around playing a card like Wren's Resolve at sorcery speed, but the cards will always last until your next turn, versus the ability to hold up an Opera Love Song. Or at least there would be a discussion if Opera Love Song weren't also usually blapping my opponents for 4.